Welcome to the online class from Dhaka Secondary School, North Karachi campus. Assalamu alaikum students of class 7 in the online class of social studies. We are going to start our new chapter, that is chapter number 12, Muslim scientists, philosophers and travelers. And I'm your teacher, Miss Usma. Topics of the day. In this topic, we will discuss the achievements of the Muslims, travelers, philosophers, and scientists. And in this category, we will study three personalities. Number 1, Ibn Battuta. Number 2, Al-Biruni. Number 3, Ibn Rushd. And in number 4, we will discuss the terms of mechanics, meteorology, philosophy, astrology, and astronomy. Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta was a Muslim Berber Moroccan scholar and explorer who widely traveled the medieval world. Over a period of 30 years, Ibn Battuta visited most of the Islamic world and many non-Muslim lands including Central Asia, Southeast Asia, India and China. In the 14th century, the Moroccan wanderer Ibn Battuta spent nearly 30 years traveling. When he was 21, he set off on a pilgrimage to Mecca. On his first journey, he went via the Red Sea to Mecca, then Syria, Iraq, Khorasan, southern Persia, Azerbaijan, and back to Baghdad. He settled in Arabia for 3 years. But again, he became restless and once more set off on a long journey. He travels to Okham, to Jeddah, Yemen, Aden, Tanzania, South Arabia, Oman, Hormuz, South Persia, and back to Mecca. His next journey was to the Black Sea. He was famous and had many friends among rulers, princes, sultans, and emperors. Ibn Battuta was a fantastic traveler journeying from his base in Morocco to the China Sea, to Spain, Timbuktu, to Central Asia, and eastward to India. He reported on the Black Death, which swept across the Eurasia landmass from China about the middle of the 14th century, and its impact on Baghdad. The Black Death is estimated to have killed a quarter or a third of the population and animals. Its social impact across Europe especially was dramatic, being the prime mover in the breakup of the feudal system. Although in Ibn Battuta's time, traveling was easier, there being no official formalities, documents, passport, and so on. But at a practical level, it was incredibly difficult. Transport on foot, horseback, cart, or ship was slow and dangerous because of hostile people, robbers, pirates, storms, rocky coast, etc. There were, of course, no hurdles as well. Now today, travelers had to stay at inns or find friendly people to stay with. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the Sultan of Delhi from 1325 to 1351. He was the eldest son of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty. His wife was the daughter of the Raja of Diyalpur. In 1334, Ibn Battuta arrived in India, all the way through the mountains of Afghanistan during the time when Tughlaq dynasty was its height. On his approach towards Sultan Muhammad Tughlaq, he learned that the great Sultan liked to take gifts from his visitors, and in return, the Sultan used to give gifts which are of far superior worth to visitors. Ibn Battuta, on meeting with Muhammad bin Tughlaq, presented him with arrows, camels, 30 horses, slaves, and some other goods. In return, Muhammad bin Tughlaq responded him with the welcoming gift of 2,000 silver dinars, a furnished house, and the job of judge with an annual salary of 5,000 silver dinars. In the memories of Tughlaq dynasty, Ibn Battuta studied and wrote about the history of the famous Qutb complex and also about Quwat al-Islam Mosque, and last but not the least about the famous Qutb Minar. Ibn Battuta also noted about the long famine which lasted for about 7 years from 1335, which killed many people near Delhi, and during this time the Sultan was busy in attacking the rebellions. Even the Sultan was ready to shed blood of people at any time. He used to punish people of his empire on small faults without the respect of persons, whether the fault is of anyone. They were brought to his hall and punished. Ibn Ahmad al-Biruni 973 to 1050. Al-Biruni was one of the greatest scientists of all time. He was an astronomer, mathematician, and philosopher, and he studied physics and natural science. Al-Biruni, he began studied at a very early age under the famous astronomer and mathematician Abu Nasr Mansur. He made original and important contribution to science. He discovered even different ways of finding the direction of the north and south, and discovered mathematical techniques to determine exactly the beginnings of the season. He also wrote about the sun and its movement and the eclipse. Here he showed how moon changed its position. He was the first to conduct experiments related to astronomy. He established the fact by experimentation that everything attracts towards the center of the earth. Al-Biruni was the most famous Arab scientist of early time. He was born in Uzbekistan, Central Asia, and died in Ghazni, Afghanistan. He had command of many languages: Turkish, Sanskrit, Persian, Hebrew, and Syriac, but he always wrote in Arabic. He wrote 113 books on medicine, geography, astronomy, mathematics, and history. Al-Biruni journeyed to India in 1017. His famous book on India is Kitab al-Hind, in which he describes the customs, languages, and geography of the subcontinent in the 11th century. Some of his other books are Chronology of Ancient Nation, Canon, Astrolabial Dynasties. He also wrote books on physics. He suggested much before Western scientists that the earth rotated on its axis and that the Indus Valley was once a sea bath. The relationship between Mahmud and Al-Biruni is interesting. It is likely that Al-Biruni was essentially a prisoner of Mahmud and was not free to leave. However, Mahmud's military excursions into India mean that Al-Biruni was taken to that country, and there can have been few experiences that Al-Biruni would have enjoyed more. He may have wished for better treatment from Mahmud, but Al-Biruni's scientific work certainly benefited. From around 1022, Mahmud's armies began to have success in taking control of the northern part of India. In 1026, his armies marched to the Indian Ocean. Al-Biruni seems to have been in the northern part of India, and we are uncertain how many visits he made, but observations he made there enable him to determine the latitudes of 11 towns around the Punjab and the borders of Kashmir. His most famous work, India, was written as a direct result of the studies he made while in that country. Ibn Rushd, often Latinized as Averroes, was a Muslim Andalusian polymath and jurist who wrote about many subjects including philosophy, theology, medicine, astronomy, physics, psychology, mathematics, Islamic jurisprudence, and law and linguistics. When we are talking about the contribution of Ibn Rushd, the following points are very important. Number 1, he worked as Qazi, was well versed in law. Number 2, he also served as physician. Number 3, his main contribution was to philosophy. Number 4, his treatise on the work of the Greek philosopher Aristotle made him an authority on the subject. His writings on Greek philosophy were translated and used by European thinkers of the terms of mechanics, meteorology, philosophy, astrology, and astronomy. Whenever we learn about the ancient peoples, these terms we should be know very well. First, we will discuss mechanics. Mechanics is the study and science of machines that deals with movement, force and motions, how they work, etc. Mean how the machines work. Number 2, meteorology. Meteorology is the study of weather and climate. It helps in forecasting the weather. Number 3, philosophy. Philosophy from two Greek words, philo, love of, and sophos, wisdom, is the study of the nature of knowledge, reality and existence. It is the study of the truth or wisdom through argument. Astrology is the study of the movement of the planets, stars, etc. in the belief that these can influence people's character and future. This is of course quite ridiculous. Astrology. Astrology and magic were considered as much reality in the past as geography or mathematics. People really believed that the stars could influence lives or character. Magic was some things that lead behind things that people could not understand. Primitive people till a few years ago believed that things such as aeroplanes and telephones were magic. Astronomy. Astronomy is the scientific study of the stars and planets and their movements by means of telescopes and many of other sciences. Work. The work is in front of you. Just read the questions and find out the answers first by self and then match them with the given answers. Thank you so much for now.